welcome back to Skyrocket Automotive. Reuniting with a friend today. Kind of nice actually. Been asked to do a few bits, get this old boy MOT'd and roadworthy. Not a massive list. You're going to like this guy. That's right, it's Moss. How you been, buddy?
How's our steering rack, Pete? Bit of a shame that's just popped off like that.
Nice simple start. I just changed that clip and then I inspected the rest of the front suspension bushes just to make sure there were no issues before I tackled the number plate lights.
If I know my Volkswagen and Porsches, like I think I do, we don't want to be trying those screws right now.
Oh dear. I don't think that's going to be bulbs. As you can see, pretty corroded. Let me get my meter. I know this seems like a back to front way to do it because I should just change the bulbs, but before I disturb those rusty screws and potentially damage something, it might just be an electrical connection. Unusual for them to both go down at the same time. Much like a Breaking Bad spin-off, we've got a distinct lack of volts. 0.03. Well, that ain't enough to power a bulb. So even if these bulbs are trash, they're not getting power, so let's find out what the problem is there first. After consulting what turned out to be an incorrect wiring diagram that claimed the number plate lights took their live feed from the luggage compartment light, I began pulling the boot liner out to find that not only did they not get their power from there as suspected, but the luggage compartment light also had a 12 volt feed and was working perfectly. No, I'm sorry, I don't believe you. I simply don't believe you.
Yeah, we've got our live emerges from there too.
To this connector that is absolutely saturated.
Excellent.
I mean, that's probably not a good thing, is it? Thanks again, Moss. Appreciate it, Chief. Normally, on this era, number plate lights get their power from the tail lights, which makes sense. You turn the tail lights on, well, you turn the headlights on, the tail lights come on, and therefore the number plate lights come on. After finding the connector that was enjoying a nice spa day and being unable to trust that wiring diagram, I decided to go digging. I found the live feed, which I traced back to a damaged area. With this repaired, it was time to diagnose why only one of these bloody things was working. I mean, I don't think that's doing any earthing, is it? We'll give all that a clean up. What are we saying? There we go. Right. Headlight that was working prior to the MOT. I'm still not sure why Moss developed a poorly eye at that point in the MOT, as the low beam on this side of the car is one of the few electrical parts that never had any problems. But considering the state of the number plate lights, I decided to remove both parts of the casing and just make sure that we didn't have a similar situation up front. That turned out to be a real laugh, as 44 years worth of damp screw threads meant that I had to tread really carefully and make sure they didn't snap off. I did also have a hunch that we weren't just looking at a blown bulb, and unfortunately I can confirm I was right. Oh man, there's just tarantulas and nightmares as far as the eye can see in here. Please just be blown. Thinking that I'd gotten lucky after confirming a blown bulb, I went and got a replacement, but really I should have known better. Womp womp womp. I guess we'll go and consult the fuse box diagram again then. Thankfully, the bonus round in this case was just a blown fuse. I then set about putting the headlights around back together. This actually ended up being a real pain in the ass. Eventually, Moss decided to cooperate for a whole 6 minutes. Go ahead and lubricate all of this because it's very stop-starty. What's the matter now, Moss? Well, I know for damn sure I put that back together though. And the first of Moss's temper tantrums began. After lubricating the headlight mechanism, the whole thing crapped its pants, so I decided I'd give everything a good soak overnight and put his poor tired battery on charge. The next day I decided to dig into the K-Jet. This is only a small clip of all the tweaks I made, but one of the main issues Misery Guts here had was starting from cold, something which turned out to be quite a simple adjustment of the secondary air valve. Clearly somebody had been in here fiddling with it, as the adjusting nut was completely loose. No wonder it wasn't working. With that Eton blower singing the song of its people, I decided to start diagnosing the dodgy fuel pump relay. Okay, the way these work, despite how intimidating they look, is actually quite simple. Big coil here, which if I activate it manually, you'll hear the pump run. That's controlled by this clever little dude here. This is a 555 timer. They were invented in the 1970s and they are used in all kinds of applications, and they're still one of the best ways to do this as far as I'm concerned. When you first flick your key on, you get an initial pulse which triggers this, and it will run the pump for a predetermined amount of time, and then it will shut down. That's your fuel system primed. If you get into an accident and the engine stalls, no longer receives a signal from the coil, it will shut the fuel pump off automatically. Fuel isolation in a collision in the late 70s. Pretty smart. I am farting to stink that this is not receiving the pulse from the coil. You can check that you're getting that pulse initially is to watch if the tachometer jumps when you first flick the key on. Terminal 15, ignition live. Ah, what's going on here? Interesting. 11.8 volts, right? Back to nothing. After digging around in the wiring harness and making a few startling discoveries, the fuel pump relay was finally working perfectly again. Moss must have been feeling better, as after another dose of oil, the pop-up headlights actually popped up without jamming halfway. I then decided to move on to a few of the drivability concerns that the new owner had at this point, namely the fact that the biting point for the clutch was somewhere down in the carpet, which made trying to grab gears in this thing an absolute nightmare. I then set about repairing and adjusting the handbrake. Not just for skids though, it was to make the MOT guys happy. This list was starting to get shorter and shorter, and at this point I was starting to get nervous as that MOT date got closer and closer. Why won't this bloody thing clean up? Now goes up. Now goes down. I've done what I can with the clutch pedal. We've tuned him, we've sorted out the electrical stuff. Still waiting for an answer as to what I'm supposed to do about the drop link bushes. Adjusted the handbrake. I've been fiddling with wiring most of the day. We got the fuel pump relay situation sorted. Transpires that the fuel pump relay ignition live had a hidden switch. I'm not going to tell you where. That may or may not have caused almost all of the problems regarding the fuel pump relay. I oiled the doors and the pop-up headlights because that was driving me nuts. General drivability stuff, I think he's ready. We need a straight answer about the drop links, so I'm just waiting to hear back from the MOT station about what they want me to do about that. But I wasn't just making excuses when I said that every time I've had a chance to properly set this car up, something's broken. Now I've had chance, listen. Biting point's way higher, that's brilliant, because it was on the floor before. Gear shifter feels so much better. I'm not going to go mental, obviously, it's not my car. I just want to make sure it runs well. Much better. Reverse, buttery smooth. My God, man, this car feels so different. It's amazing what a few little tweaks can do to change a car's personality. I already liked your personality anyway, Moss. You were just a bit flaky. This was a conversation just asking you to get your shit together, really, wasn't it? You're going to win this time, aren't you? And that's your lot. Here we go. Time for the MOT. One way or the other, we're off for MOT. As you can see, the weather really started to turn as I was setting off, which I should have known was going to be an omen. It got so much worse on the journey over there as well. It only actually calmed down after I made it back to the workshop. Yep. That tracks. How very Moss of you. Anyway, will all of that hard work finally pay off, or is this little Porsche going to give us another bloody few items to add to this list? Well, that was an absolute friggin' disaster, wasn't it? So, what happened? We had torrential rain, literally almost a 45-degree angle, directly at the front of the car, which was great fun. Just standing water left, right and centre, people barrelling through it in their Range Rovers at 450 miles an hour. That made it exciting. It was at that point I discovered that the temperature valve has been disconnected under the dashboard somewhere, so the defrost doesn't work. Could barely see where I was going. Wipers are not adequate. Oh yeah, not long after leaving, I thought to myself, I wonder if he's got enough fuel. I looked down and the fuel gauge had stopped working. That was fun. Off, will you? Then got about 100 yards from the MOT centre and the back box fell off, which is brilliant because you can just pick up 924 exhaust straps and everywhere. They're really easy. You can't think they're doing. Might do them in Sainsbury's, actually. Thankfully, Four Winds were amazingly understanding. They gave me something to lay on outside so that I could put the strap back on. Found it. It wasn't on the exhaust, but shortly after somebody left, I heard them run it over. So I went back and straightened that, reattached it. Anyway, the MOT, that's the bit you're here to watch. Obviously, the issue we had, passenger side low beam, number plate lights, the anti-roll bar drop links. With the drop links, the suspension geometry had changed because the car had been lowered. It had caused the drop links to move inboard on the anti-roll bars, so they were considered no longer secure. Even though they can't go anywhere, obviously, rules is rules, they're just being proper about it, basically. They're doing their job. I was able to drive those back to their original anchor points and put some clamps over. That was enough to fix that problem. Should have got that on film. It was the last job. I was desperate to get this car off for MOT, so sorry. Handbrake mech, I'm pretty sure I will have discussed that already in this video. Past Kyle, please edit that in if you haven't already. Clip, photo of a clip. One of the clips that retains the handbrake had snapped off, so fixed that. Got a handbrake back, took some adjustment, but we got there. I've got a list, give me a second. So, first thing, is the only one who passed his MOT, didn't he? Moss has an MOT for the first time in a quarter of a century. All that work, finally, you can go on the road, old dude. I'm so happy. Passed with flying colours, no advisories. MOT inspector very happy with all the repairs made. All that's left to do now is pull him back onto the forecourt and wait for the arrival of his new owner. For anybody out there that's worried about the future of this car, he is going to be going to a great home. Okay, so Moss finally has an MOT after all of that. All that's left to do now is introduce him to the new owner, which is...
Hello.
It's Jack.
I kept it. I had to hang on to it for a little while, I think. It would have been a shame not to.
Yeah, after everything that we've done on it.
I know, yeah.
It'd be criminal for it to go to somebody else.
Yeah, so now I own it, which is good news for me, I think, I'm pretty sure. I'm glad you were able to bring it over the line though with the MOT. Just saw those last little bits, it's perfect.
It was nice to have the opportunity to put a pin in that chapter.
Yeah, put a French kiss on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, there we go.
And now you can go and make loads of really loud supercharging noises.
I can, yeah. I can drive it 80 miles home, considering that it's only ever done like 3 miles in the last 30 years. So.
And you've picked a perfect time of day to do it, Jack.
Yeah, well,
in the dark.
In the dark.
Shit.
Well, wish me luck, I guess.
Best of luck, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, cheers.
It's been a pleasure.
Man. Yeah, it's been great. And this 100% isn't going to be the last time you work on this car as well.
I've got a feeling that that's the case.
Yeah, give it 20 minutes and you'll be down the road helping me out.
I better let you start making your way home then.
Yeah, I'll bugger off, shall I?
With that said, I'll see you in about an hour, Moss, alright? Yeah. Cheers, mate.
I'll call you, yeah?
It was my genuine pleasure to be able to get Moss across the line after all of the laughs, all the memes, all the stress, the thinking, problem solving. I've got an awful lot of great memories with this car, and to know that as I'm recording this VO, he's currently winging his way down to his new home that he so badly deserves, 80 miles home, means the world to me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was a suitable closing chapter to Moss's story for the time being. And if you enjoyed it, I'd encourage you to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching.